Do you feel like there should be more to life? Do you sometimes feel stuck, stagnant, and kind of just stale? I've been there myself, and I want to share with you a formula that's very powerful to help you understand the concept of this inner journey, the inner monk, we'll call it, and this outer warrior. And by combining those two energies through action and an inner reality, you can create something very, very powerful. Now, if you and I have not yet met, my name is Troy Fontana, and I want to help you 10x your results. So what is the process that I'm talking about here? Think about life as this forward moving journey, right? You have this linear progression of time. You are aware of that. We all have clocks. We understand time. We understand age. But what's really taking place through this journey? Excuse me. I believe there's two things going on. One is you have this linear progression, right? Call this the outer warrior. And so think of it as like life presenting challenges to you that kind of force you to grow who you are, right? Like think of just like a literal example of like evolution. When you're a kid, you have to learn to crawl and you have to learn to walk. And then pretty soon you reach an age where you have to kind of fend for yourself. This is like an evolutionary process taking place. But that journey itself is full of challenges, and therefore you learn lessons, gathering metaphorical and literal tools to grow through this journey. I believe that's also taking place on the inside of you. And so you're going through these different experiences in life. You probably all felt betrayal. You felt, loss and setback. You felt pain. You felt grief. You felt sadness. And these are all inner things that go on inside of you that you can't really see, but they're developing the inside of you, right? This deeper part of who you are, your soul, your spirit, your higher self, to kind of develop that. And so if you feel stuck, if you feel stagnant, it's probably because you're not progressing on one of those two planes. Again, the inner monk and or the outer reality of the warrior is what we'll call it here. And so ideally, you combine the two. And when you combine the two, you create something very, very powerful that I'll show you in a second. I want you to think of it like this, right? Think of this linear progression. This is something I always say about entrepreneurship. I've been an entrepreneur myself for over 2 decades. And as an entrepreneur, man, like Tony Robbins said this, it is a personal development journey. Like it takes you into deep parts of who you are because, man, you go through different economic seasons. You have employee challenges. You have financial challenges, all different kinds of things that challenge you as an entrepreneur. And by doing that, you're kind of forced to like either figure it out or not, to shit or get off the pot, as they might say. And so through this journey, you're developing certain skill sets. And also, there's also this deeper inner reality taking place. And so what I want you to do is think of it like this. The outer reality is your area to challenge yourself. So again, if you feel stuck, if you feel stagnant, you can challenge yourself on this outer reality. Again, the warrior path. This will be the linear progression that we can see and feel through time. And so you might do simple things like, maybe not so simple, but you can take a cold shower, right? That's forcing you into a situation that can be challenging. And if you've done it before, right, cold plunge, cold shower, you know that the path to doing that and being successful with it is actually learning to let go. So it's a outer reality or outer challenge that teaches you a deeper lesson. Like to do a cold shower, you can't fight it. If you fight, you'll get maybe 5-10 seconds and you kind of want to get out. But if you get in there, you fight, then you kind of learn how to relax, to let go, to go into your body, to release, and you work what I call the release muscle. Because as we evolve, as we mature, you're essentially developing one of two muscles, your control muscle or your release muscle. And oftentimes early in our life, when we're young, we want to control everything, we want to make it our way. This is how it's going to look. But as you evolve through life, you actually need to learn to release. And so see how this outer example of simply just doing a cold plunge or a cold shower teaches you to learn how to let go. So by stepping into this outer warrior element, you actually learn a deeper lesson. So again, if you feel stuck and stagnant in life, I'm going to show you the two paths, the outer journey as well as the inner monk journey. And ideally, again, we combine those two and I'll show you something really powerful with it. So what else can you do on the outer reality? So as an example, tonight, I'm actually thinking about doing this. There's a dance class. It's like a reggaeton dance class here in town. I'm thinking about going. Now, I love to dance. I enjoy dancing. I'm a decent dancer, but I feel a little bit out of my comfort zone. I've never done like a dance class. I like just go out every now and move and groove a little bit, but it's going to be slightly uncomfortable for me. Like that's the honest truth, right? Going there, walking into this new environment, it's going to force me into myself. I'm going to have to let go of certain stories and maybe narratives that I'm telling myself. Oh, I'm too old. I'm inexperienced. Oh, look at them. They're really good. All these things are going to be taking place. And so do you see, by stepping into a situation outside of myself, it forces me to develop myself even further. So again, I'm using this outer warrior situation by doing things outside of myself on a linear timeline to develop who I am. Okay. And again, we're going to talk about the inner monk here in a second. So I want you to think of at least 5 things that you can do that will challenge who you are. Look, like even by me going live, the reason, just so you know, the reason I go live is because it forces me to think fast. And like I can speak in front of an audience, in front of people. That's actually easier for me than speaking in front of a camera because there's no feedback. Like a camera, I can't see anything. I don't know your facial reactions. I can't get any like feedback. And it's very much who I am. I'm very like kinesthetic, touch, feel, like to see things. And I can't do that through a video. So it forces me to develop different parts of who I am. It's a linear progression that's taking me deeper into myself. So I want you to think 5 things that you can do to kind of step outside of your comfort zone. Because again, if you feel stuck, if you feel stagnant, it's because one of these 2 things isn't taking place. You're not challenging yourself or evolving on an outer timeline. Another thing that I often do, I haven't been in a little while, but I go to improv classes. Now, why would I do that? I have zero interest in doing like an actual improv, like comedy dance or comedy show or anything like that. That's not why I do it. I do it because it challenges me again to let go, to like develop parts of who I am. Again, you have this control mechanism or this release mechanism. And so by going into this class, I got to let go. I got to loosen up. I got to get out of my own way. I got to loosen my mind. I don't care again about like being good at improv. I give 2 shits about that. It's just more the process of learning the art of letting go. So I find these little things and situations in life to learn about who I am. Another thing I like to do is I like to go out on the weekends. And I go out completely sober. And I do this so I can remember each situation. I can feel each situation deeply. And I introduce myself to a whole heck of a lot of people. It's kind of funny, actually. It's fun. But I go out, I introduce myself to a lot of different people. And it forces me into who I am. It forces me to learn deeper. Someone just rang my doorbell. But it forces me to like learn more about myself. And so as I introduce myself to somebody, part of you is like maybe seeking validation. You want to be accepted. You want the situation to go well. But that takes a level of you actually like coming to what we call being like internally validated. I don't need external validation, the person outside of me to say that I'm enough. I need to be internally validated myself to understand that I am enough as I am. Now that's like, I just said like a lot right there in a short little sentence. That's very powerful. But understand that you're enough as you are. It changes your energy. You're not seeking it outside of you. And that's very powerful. And then as you create, as you move through life, you come from that inner strength actually. And so that's another example how you can use something outside of yourself, called the warrior energy, to actually go deeper into who you are. So now you've got linear progression. Now also, like, man, I love meditation. I love like this deeper spiritual side. I've always felt like a deep connection to that area. It's evolved and it's grown over my life. So, there's been seasons in my life where that outer reality has been so challenging, so tough, that I wanted to almost exit that reality altogether. I wanted to be the monk. I wanted to just go away. I actually went to a what are they called? Monastery. I went to a monastery and stayed there for a week. And it was a really cool experience. There was no talking aloud or anything like that. And it was deep. Like I learned a lot. But while I was there, I also realized the power of human connection, the importance of growth, the importance of stepping into life and doing what we just talked about, these outer challenges in a way, this outer warrior type energy to develop who you are. And also simultaneously building this inner monk type energy. But not just being the monk, being a monk who actually like steps into life per se. So I want you to also think about what you can do to develop that inner monk energy. And so that might be things like meditation. It might be things like mindfulness. And by just bringing a little bit of this into your life, like just mindfulness alone, right? Just simply, if you think of it not as this large, grandiose concept, but rather something where you're more present in the moment. So if you're eating food, you just become mindful of the food that you're eating. It makes everything slow down. And then that becomes a slight teacher into your life. Like for me, man, I struggle with patience. I like to move. I like to be like, let's get it going. This weekend I was somewhere and I remember I was waiting in line. I'm like, damn, come on, man. Like, let's get this going. I was like, all right, Troy, here's a situation that's taking you inside so that you can learn to be more patient. And then patience shows up in other areas of my life, right? Just like you, it's going to show up in other areas of your life. So this inner quote monk energy that we're discussing now is the things that you can do inside or internally to develop this inner like awareness, this inner mindfulness, this more present to the moment type energy. And so I want you to now, you've got your 5 things that you're doing to develop your warrior energy that are outside of you on this linear timeline. I want you to think of 5 things that you can do to develop this internal energy. We'll call it the monk energy. And then by doing those 2 things, look what you have. You have this linear progression of life and this vertical progression of life. And this makes a cross. And I believe, and I don't even mean this from like a religious standpoint, but in the Bible, Jesus says to bear the cross. I think that's what he actually meant, was that, because it's a challenging thing to do, to bear the cross, to develop your inner strength, your insides, the deep roots, we'll call it. But think about a tree. For a tree to grow tall, it has to develop deep roots, and then it can grow and be big and have much strength. And so just like you have to develop these deep roots. You have to go inside of yourself and look internally. The door to success opens inwards, not outwards. And also you have this linear progression in life where you challenge yourself, where you step into different situations. And that also, you allow it to develop who you are. And therefore, again, you get that cross. And that's what it means to bear the cross. So 5 things that you can do outside of yourself. Maybe it's cold plunge. Maybe it's like I talked about, going to a dance class, an improv class. Maybe you take martial arts. Maybe it's something, man, just using your voice a little bit more, speaking up, setting boundaries with people. Like literally just setting boundaries with people could be a whole journey. I had to go through that. I had a whole lot of people-pleasing energies. I'll do a video about that sometime. Like a lot of people-pleasing energy, a lot of codependent energy, which all stem from like not feeling like you're enough. Like you have to prove yourself to other people, which again goes back to childhood, all kinds of stuff there. But then you find yourself in relationships where you're expending energy. And I started doing that in so many different areas of my life. And then you're kind of left with like, well, where am I? And so then as I started to set boundaries, I had to realize what was mine and what is the others, right? When I said no, like I'm taking on a level of responsibility for them, but then I'm giving away my power when I do that. I can say no. That's okay, right? I don't have to be attached to that. I can do it in a polite, very positive way. But if they don't take it a certain way, that's on them. Okay. So that is a journey in itself, just learning to set boundaries. So there's all of these things when you start looking at it through a different lens. Like a lot of what I want to share with you is how to change your perspectives on life. And so when you, again, the short situation where I'm standing in line this weekend, right? Rather than just being frustrated, I felt the energy of frustration, but I'm like, what's the lesson here? What's going on? Right. And I'm lacking patience in the moment. I'm frustrated. Now, you could unpack that. Like, my time is more valuable than yours. Well, why do I feel that way? Is that true? Where does that come from? All kinds of stuff. So you're just using these to kind of develop your palette for your own life. And then again, you come inside and find practices that can take you deeper into yourself. Like meditation alone, we'll do a video like this too, where I want to just meditate with you, just sit, to be still. Like many things, the more you do it, like, I don't want to say the better you get at it, you just find different aspects of it. So like meditation recently for me has really unveiled 2 different aspects of my mind. My mind is oftentimes in the future, trying to create some kind of reality, thinking about what may or may not happen. And also it's thinking about creating validation. Like, am I enough? Same kind of stuff, right? And that's just being very honest and real. Like when you get deep into your mind, you'll see the different places it goes. And so by meditating, I'm learning more about myself. I start to get, this is very important, I start to get out of my own way. 99% of the time when you feel stuck, when you feel stagnant, like you're not where you want to be in life, it's because you're in your own way. It's easy to point the finger at somebody else, but it's much harder to look inside of ourselves and see where you are in your own way. And so that's the process of doing it, right? And then you allow those things to be your teachers. And so for me, again, it's really taking you into what it means to fall in love with the process. Everything is just the process. You let go of the outcomes. I'm not necessarily trying to create some outcome in life. I know that if I truly fall into the process, if I just continue to develop who I am, to experience, to expand, to grow, the outcomes will take care of themselves. But for much of my life, and maybe like you, I focus on the outcomes first. You could probably relate to that. That's what our society, what culture pushes towards you, is be this thing, create this, go there, have these things, and then you'll be happy. But that's being outcome focused. And how often do those things actually happen for you? How often do you get the wins, right? Do you get the Super Bowl ring? Like literally as a metaphor, right? But how often? Very, very rarely. So when you learn to fall in love with the process, it changes it. It's like a different energy. You develop literally new neural pathways. And those neural pathways, by the way, are connected to dopamine and serotonin, which are your biological reward systems. And so when you have neural pathways that are designed for outcomes in your life, you're not getting a lot of dopamine. And then you'll look to find it in other ways that are synthetic, essentially. And so you retrain your brain to fall in love with the process. Everything's just about the art of learning. You either win or you learn to win. That's it. There's only one or two options. And if you can embody that understanding, that inner standing, then you'll start to do different things in life. You can expand, you can grow. It's why I can be in my 40s and go to a dance class on a Tuesday night. Why not, right? Like, let it rip. Let me go learn something about myself. I'm gonna go have fun. I'm gonna go be silly, but I bet you I feel amazing afterwards. But if I didn't allow myself to be in the process, if I looked at the outcome, like, oh, I have to be good when I go there, I would never do it. So I want you to think about what areas in life that you can use. You can allow yourself to just develop who you are. It can be through conversations, it can be through setting boundaries, it can be through hobbies, it can be through just maybe a bigger challenge, whatever it is. Find something to be your teacher. Let go of the outcome. Like, literally, it's the main thing is let go of the outcome. It doesn't have to be something. You are the thing. Just allow yourself to evolve. And then we'll talk about, we'll save this because it's a bigger concept, but then I'll teach you how to stack your ROIs. So meaning you do that thing, like you do the hobby, and then you stack the layers of the return on investment you get from it. And so you really maximize your time, and you can accelerate and move through life in a much faster and more efficient way. So I hope you found this insightful. This is your inner monk developing and your outer warrior developing, meeting and merging into something very powerful, and that will break through and help you with your stuck points. I love you so much. Make sure you head over to my website, troyfontana.co. You click the link in the bio, it'll take you over there. You sign up for my newsletter. That's going to get you instantly a free mini course, how to develop your confidence. It has videos in there. It's very quick, very easy, but it'll provide you some powerful things, because confidence is one of the keys to moving forward in life. If you lack confidence in something, you're probably not going to do it. So make sure you head over to the website and do that. It's in the description below. I love you so much. I look forward to seeing you sometime in the future. Until next time, peace.